the top of my head, some of the best calcium sources are collard greens, as you said. Like just 1 cup gives you, I think, something like around 250-ish milligrams, I think, of
your daily dose.
Yeah. So you've got, and there are the things like turnip greens, mustard greens, bok choy, tahini, dried figs, tofu, oats, I'm trying to think, kale, blackstrap molasses. I use that a lot in a lot of my cooking.
Yeah.
Almonds, almond butter, navy beans, oranges have some broccoli, pinto beans. I mean, so we have this myth that you have to get calcium from milk. But when you think about the fact that milk is a biological fluid made for a specific animal to gain weight and increase its size very quickly, it's just blows my mind that in this day and age, we continue to believe that it's our best calcium source when the casein in milk alone is one of the things that causes the most damage and inflammation in the body.
100%. And so it causes inflammation to the lungs and the spleen, etc.
Absolutely.
So do you use ghee because you've been trained in India?
No. No, absolutely not. No.
And what is it about eggs? Is there do you like eggs as another byproduct, if you will, of animals?
Yeah, I do not suggest using eggs at all. That could be a whole different show in itself. Yes. But eggs there's so many toxic things about eating eggs. I start with the fact that these are animals. They're still sentient beings about ready to be born. And one of, if I go from eating eggs back to the whole processing of eggs and realizing that in the egg production in the world, 50% of all the eggs that are hatched, 50% of them are males. Since males don't lay eggs, they take these babies, and I can't even tell you over the line what they do because it's so horrendous.
Oh, I know.
So that it starts there, and then it goes all the way through eggs. Cholesterol is one of the biggest sources of cholesterol. So the whole thing about eggs, it's a myth. They have quite a army of marketing behind them and marketing money. So that's a whole different subject. But no, I would never recommend an egg.
Because most people say it's a really great source of protein and what have you.
It's not. It's not even a high source of protein. It's a source of protein, but along with that protein, you're getting everything else. Number one of the problems with any animal protein is you're getting all their hormones. So you're getting all their estrogen, all their progesterone, all their testosterone, not to mention all the chemicals that go into the production process. So, yeah.
There's a lot to learn. I can see.
There's a lot. Yeah.
So you have, in Going Vegan, you have 4 tips for success. You want to go over those? Because I think you're kind of covering it, but I think it's really good to emphasize that.
I have to remember what I put down there. The 4 tips of success. So mostly what I tell people is to start with the most impactful. The single most important dietary change is to remove the meat. Number one, just remove the meat. And if you don't want to remove the meat, then I would absolutely suggest you go on YouTube and you look at videos of the slaughterhouses and the meat production and the feedlots and what they're being fed and how we're abusing these beautiful sentient beings who love and have families and are tender and have souls. And so I say, start there. Look at them.
What if they're free range and humanly?
There's a whole list right there of myths. There is no such thing. That is such a myth. Now, there are people that have little tiny farms and they treat their animals very nicely and they feed them well and they hug them. And that's a beautiful experience. And then after that, they slaughter them. How is that humane? That's not humane at all. There's nothing humane about that. So that's a whole subject in itself. Free range, look it up. I would suggest anybody that's curious about that is to look that up on the web. What does it mean to be free range? Free range means that these beings, these sentient beings, are still stuck inside a building, and they're crowded, so crowded that they can't usually move. Like the pigs, for instance, are all put in individual cages, and they can't even oftentimes lay down or turn around. So those myths have to be debunked. And
I think that you were referring to cage-free, because there are some actual free range where they are out on the range, right? Because cage-free.
No, out on the range is still a myth. I mean, okay. So there are times they go out. There are some farms that, and again, it depends on the size of the farm. Small farms, they do go outside more. Grass-fed is what cows are supposed to eat. So the fact that we applaud ourselves for feeding them what they're supposed to eat is just bizarre. But if you look at the overall industry and how 80 billion animals are raised and slaughtered a year, it's just mind-boggling. So, we're coddled into these beautiful myths about animals hugging each other and playing in fields. And I wish it was true. But even if they're treated very nicely, they're still sent to slaughter. So I'm not sure how that's humane to begin with. But then let's go back for the 4 tips.
Sure.
So my next suggestion is always to learn about nutrition. Learn where do you get your plant protein? Where do you get your protein? Where do you get your calcium? How do you get your zinc? Where do you get your selenium? How do you combine what foods you need for digestive aids? What does fermented foods do for you? What do you want to avoid? With Oriental medicine, we look at the yin and yang of food, the heat, the cool, the nourishing parts of it, the sweet, the sour, the bitter, so there's a big combination of different things, and it can be overwhelming if you look at all of it once. So don't do that. Don't look at it all at once. Just stop where you are, take a nice deep breath, and start making some steps. So learn about nutrition, books, videos, TV. I've got a list of 37 movies now that are out about veganism and nutrition and sentient beings. Mm-hmm. Then after that, you want to moderate your expectations. So a vegan diet works because it always reduces your contribution to the animal exploitation, and it lessens your impact on the climate change. That's one thing we haven't really talked about. The number one factor in the world for climate crisis is animal production. So people say things like, I don't mean to be facetious, but this one cracks me up. Like there was a big push for everybody to get rid of their plastic straws to help the oceans, the fish in the oceans, which I applaud 100%. But I had to laugh because it's like, okay, so we're going to give up our plastic straws to save the fish, but we're not going to stop eating fish to save the fish, So yeah. There's a real invertendo that happens in those things. So just, really education and opening your heart and understanding that. And the next one is start where it's easy for you to start. Number one, instead of buying cow's milk, replace it with plant milk. There are so many plant milks now. Each of them have a different flavor and they have a different texture. And you can start in the Vegan Culinary Institute, we demonstrate which ones I use for thickening, which ones I use in coffee, which ones I use for a smoothie, what's the difference between a smoothie and a juice, and those kind of things. So start something small like that.
Well, Dr. Carol, I feel your passion. It's incredible. The research and your background is fabulous. And what you've set up with the Vegan Culinary Institute is fantastic. So how can people reach you and find out more?
So you can reach me at the iZen Healing Center at 3348 17th Street here in Sarasota. I have a website. iZen Healing, and that's AIZEN Healing, all one word, iZenHealing.com, or you can text or call me at 941-284-8894. And I also have email addresses, and we're on Facebook, and so there's many different ways to connect with us. But
they could find out about the events that you have about your Culinary Institute there. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Join us for one of our vegan feasts. It's amazing. It's fun. It's wonderful. So yeah, give us a call.
Well, I definitely will. And Carol, thank you so much for joining. And want to thank our listeners for joining in.
Yeah.
Be sure to listen to our shows. We have wonderful people like we've heard today. And I wish you all the best for your enjoyment of food, and make it healthy.
Thank you so much. Love to all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into our show on societybitesradio.com. Don't worry if you've missed a show. You can find them all on our website at SarasotaHolisticChamberofCommerce.com.